right, and welcome. Let's do a little sound check. I'm not even prepared to do my sound check. Just a moment. Do a little sound check. See what we got here. Just a moment.
Doesn't make sense.
Whoops. All right, so we are good. So welcome everyone. Hey, today is Wednesday, January 22nd. It's our members only. Remember I said that we're going to be doing members only live chats on Wednesdays. So a little gift for all you members. Um, so welcome everyone. Let me say hello to those who are here. If you're just lurking, please join the chat unless you're not able to. Um, please hit the like, hit the thumbs up, listen, just enjoy, get settled. We're going to have a pretty low key show tonight. I'll tell you what we're getting into, but I just want to say hi to everybody. Okay, thanks for being here. And let's say we had Amy. Thanks, Amy, for being here and posting the support links. Plain Iron, you got Mark Ellis, Oleg Cat, Lisa, Nancy Drew 101, Kate U, 26 Dead Zombies. We got Where Baby Daddy and Nicole Watt. Who else we got here? Heather Brown. What's up, Heather? And EWTN. What's up, EWTN? L'Oreal, what's up? We got Tracy Fleetwood with some kissies and waves. What's up, Tracy Fleetwood? Who else we got here? David Rogers. What's up, David? Teresa. Kayla. What's up, Kayla? Oh, we got Jay Lynn. And oh, look, a super sticker or chat or whatever this is from M. What's up? Thanks for the super. We got. Hey, is that everybody? Oh, that's everyone so far. It's a little cozy little group tonight. Um, it's just funny because I see there's someone else who went live tonight to cover the same subject matter. Isn't that funny? Um, I guess it's on. It's in the air. It's in the air. That's what we're dealing with. So it is what it is. Hopefully, we'll maintain anyway and be able to get through this. Um, so, David Rogers, thank you for the super sticker. David Rogers, there you go. Thank you. Um, yeah, it's in the air. Prosecutor McLeland continues his Unhinged PR tour. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. And I think you guys will enjoy it. I don't know what else you've watched on this. And I certainly would not recommend watching the interview itself. It's very unpalatable. Okay. But let me get. So, what are we talking about? Let's see. Oh, gosh, where is it? Did I just lose it? What the heck? I did just lose it. Okay, there we go. We're talking about the WRTV interview. I'm telling you now, it's not good. It's not good. I'm not very excited about going through this, but it's worth doing because I'm trying to be thorough in my coverage of all of this. So that's what we're dealing with. But yeah, as you come in, please hit the like. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, that's what I'm saying, Nancy Drew. I would not recommend watching it. Unfortunately, in order to give you fair coverage, I had to subject myself to watching it, but I would not recommend it. But I'll give you, there were some takeaways. And so I think that'll be good. Now, the first interesting takeaway for me, at least, is that it was quite different from the Carroll County Comet, which is your local Delphi rag. It was quite different from that piece. That was very oof. It that piece pushed some narrative. So you may remember that. How long was it? How long ago was that? Let me see. Geez, well, it was only 5 days ago. Okay, so 5 days ago, I made a show called McCleared. Okay, I'll put it in the chat real quick just to be funny. Okay, I did McCleared, and in McCleared, we went over the Carroll County Comet PR narrative pushing that McLeland engaged upon, and so we're beyond that. Okay, now we're okay. Let me pull this back up. Now we're at the WRTV interview, quote unquote, and wow, it was quite different. It was quite different in flavor. It was different in motive or motivation, and it was different in effect. And that's what I'll be getting more into tonight. And yeah, you got the transcript instead. Perfect, perfect. So pretty interesting because people do things for different reasons, obviously, and that's sort of what I'm hinting at or getting at tonight is that I noticed quite a stark difference in what I feel was the overall effect and possibly the motivation for this. So it was basically a vanity piece, in my opinion. Um, it was not very flattering. There wasn't much narrative pushing except on one point, which we will cover. And I thought that possibly the best way to handle it is to read through it myself. And oops, I forgot to hit silence. But thank you for the that was a Cash App. Thank you for the Cash App supporters. Okay, now I'm going to hit silence on my devices. All right, sorry for that. Um, it was quite different, and so I think the easy way to handle it is by reading through it and giving my comments. That'll be easy, and it'll kind of keep us focused because there's no point in watching it really. So. Um, so like I'm saying, it was very interesting because it really came across as a vanity piece um, or a fluff piece. It was pretty pointless, and I got to say, it doesn't give a lot of credit to the interviewer. Okay, so I'm not trying to beat her up either, but yeah, it's very lacked a lot of substance, kind of fluff piece. Um, but we'll get into it. Okay. Well, thank you, that girl. Love you too. I don't know you yet, but I'm getting to know you. So that girl thinks that she's so fine. She thinks that da, 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 da. That girl thinks that she's so bad. All right, so I'm getting at that it was pretty insubstantial, but there were some things that stood out, and those are the things that are worth talking about. So that's what we'll be getting into. All right, but thank you, that girl. Um, and really, geez, man, it's not even worth reading through in its entirety, to be honest with you. Um, but there's some takeaways. So, I mean, I hate doing it. Trust me, I hate reading through this because probably 2/3 of it is pointless. But but we'll go through it because here we're just here together, right? Um, but she kicks it off with the question: what was it like as a prosecutor to tackle a trial of this magnitude? Okay. And she says lengthwise, not even discussing the content. So I don't even know what that question means, but the takeaway, a big trial. But the answer is kind of funny. So he says, It's difficult, obviously. It's the longest trial I've ever had, lasting, those 4 weeks. Okay, so period. That handled the substance of the question, right? But he goes on and says, the amount of information that was involved was more than I'd ever dealt with as well. So it took a lot of organization in making sure that each day we had planned out what we hoped to accomplish that day in trial. And then, logistically, organizing to make sure the witnesses were there. We had exhibits copied, and so it was a huge task. Well, thank God you had Kathy Shank and Judge Gold breastfeeding you, because obviously couldn't have done it without them. They put on the diapers, they wiped the bottom, they changed the diapers, they fed and burped, and in all other ways, coddled and sustained you during this intense period of railroading Richard Allen. Anyway, takeaway from that: longest, most complex you've ever had. Yes, agreed. But if you knew witnesses were lying or misrepresenting the truth, would that be proper? But so then she says, what was it like for you preparation wise? I mean, we talk about preparing for any trial. It takes time for any attorney to prepare for a trial. What was it like for you to prepare for a trial in general speaking, but B, just the importance that it kind of felt like community, the world, all these people watching. What was that like for you preparation wise? He says, of course, under scrutiny, you are when it's a case that has as much publicity as this case, and you want to have this sense of obligation that you want to do the best you can and make sure you're prepared. So you have that extra pressure, but just in terms of preparation, you kind of just go through the same routine that you would with any trial. Just in this case, the trial is going to be lengthwise. It's going to be longer with more witnesses, more exhibits than I've dealt with. But you try to go through your same routine, and you don't want to change your routine just because it's a trial that has more publicity. So I just tried to go through my same routine. I organized my routine, routinely organized my exhibits and witnesses the same as I would. So I just tackled it that way. Now, here's where it starts to get a little interesting. Not really, but somewhat. The publicity on this case was like nothing else, really. One of the biggest, if not the biggest case Carroll County has ever seen. As a defense lawyer, before being elected to prosecutor, did that play a role in kind of how you decided to do things or your strategy? And he says, I think your experience in general, whether it's you start off as a defense attorney or move to a prosecutor, or whether you just start off as a prosecutor and have a career as a prosecutor, I think your experience as an attorney is what plays into your decisions on witness order, what exhibits to put in, all those kind of things. I do think as being a defense attorney gives me that unique experience to kind of view things from the other side. So when you start to think about what strategies the defense will have, or what defenses they'll put forward, I think it gives me a unique perspective that I've been on that side. But I think prosecutors who have been career prosecutors have those experiences too. They give them that blah, 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 blah advantage. So I think it's your experience in general that gives you the knowledge and the wherewithal to say, okay, what order am I going to put the witnesses in, blah, 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 the exhibits. Are we going to produce, blah, blah, blah. In this situation, this is the first time I've worked with two other attorneys on the case. So another first. Right? Another first. Biggest case, most public case, first time you worked with two other attorneys. So we'd have open discussions about what is the best way to move forward, what is the best strategy for trial, what is the best witness order, those kinds of things. And trust me, Prof was very sensitive to that because I don't know if you noticed, but I'll put it this way. Who did they put on first? I'll ask the chat. Think real hard about which people they put on first. I think this entire thing was so manipulative. It's mind-boggling. I would not believe. It's sort of like how I use this phrase, always expect the worst of people, the most manipulation, the most lies, the most coercion, all of that. This prosecution has acted so manipulative, okay? And in this trial for Richard Allen, it was extremely manipulative towards the jury. So think of who they put on first to manipulate. And I would also like you to think of who did they put on first, and what was the substance of the closing statement and rebuttal? Because I'm telling you, if you understand the bookends of this trial, who the first witnesses were, why that mattered, and then what was the manipulative, emotionally traumatizing, manipulative technique that happened in the final closing statement and rebuttal, you will completely understand the manipulation effect on this jury. The emotional traumatization and manipulation of this jury to squeeze that verdict out. Okay. Anyway, it appears that was a huge part of the strategy, right? Because it's mentioned here 2 or 3 times. So the order of the witnesses, quote unquote, and that closing statement, very, very. Always expect the worst, and you'll get it. Now, thank you very much to Lawyer's Daughter and to that girl and L'Oreal. Thank you. You guys are becoming members. Thank you. Thank you, L'Oreal. Okay, where am I? Next question. Okay, remember I said this is a fluff piece, right? This is a vanity interview. Okay, so we talk about public view and you talk about this case in general. I mean, it captivated so many people, not just from Carroll County, surrounding communities. Nationwide, so many people interested in this case. Really, because of that, there's kind of been this whole like cottage industry, if you will. True crime people. People interested in learning about the case. People just talking about the case, all the noise that's happening, whether it's after a trial, before a trial, standing outside of the courthouse. How does that impact you as a prosecuting attorney in this case? Thank you, Tawana. Now, this is interesting. And I'll comment after, but I'm telling you now, I've never seen any law enforcement ever be so concerned about YouTube as I have this Indiana law enforcement and prosecution. The state in this case is so offended and concerned by YouTube. It's actually unbelievable. They're very sensitive. They're very sensitive to YouTube. And I'm telling you, I've watched lots of cases. I've watched lots of press conferences. I've paid attention to a lot of law enforcement. And I've never seen the kind of sensitivity and butthurt over speech on YouTube as the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen. But here's the response, okay? Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Amy. like I've never seen so much whining about YouTube as I have with the state of Indiana. It's incredible. It's really, you wouldn't ever think that you'd see big old men in suits and uniforms whine so much about YouTubers. But it happens. Here we go. It's Delphi after all. You try to block it out and focus, like you said, on just the facts of the case, because what happens on a YouTube true crime channel or, through the media, that doesn't really affect the case. You've got to focus on the evidence that you have and the facts of the case. And so you try to block it all out. Now, it's impossible to block it all out. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. It's impossible to block it all out, this YouTube, especially when it's in your face or when you're leaving the courthouse. Obviously, I think it probably affected the family more than me, because there were some personal attacks on the family. You noticing a pattern here? Family. There were attacks on the family. I expect personal attacks as a prosecutor. I expect not everyone's going to like me. So I kind of expected it. Didn't bug me. I guess you'd have to ask the family whether it got to them or not. I think some of the community members, it got to them just because so many people bad-mouthing Delphi as a whole in Carroll County. And, unjustly doing that. Really? So when we're seeing a whole community lie about the murders of two of its daughters, we're seeing a whole county's law enforcement be completely inept and apparently what appears to be corrupt. We're not supposed to talk about that because it might hurt some feelings. Well, here's a piece of advice. Get your house in order. Do things so that the public can accept gladly what you are claiming is justice for these girls. And you won't be questioned. Okay. But for me, I just tried to block it out as much as I could and focus on what do we want to present at trial and what are the facts that we can prove. Facts. All right. So here we go with some more gaslight. See this girl here. It's just so horrible when you get a journalist who's not a journalist. And that seems to be the epidemic these days. Because here's a case. And it's sad to say. I mean, if you want an example of it, I'll give you a prime example. For those of you who are a little older, I want you to think back to the 1980s and 1990s and think about watching the weather forecast on your local news. And I want you to contrast that or compare and contrast that with watching the weather right now on your local news. And you tell me, are these weather journalists, these weather forecasters, these weathermen, weatherwomen, are they being hired for tits and ass and good looks? Or are they being hired for being studious experts on the weather? Because I don't know about you, but when I flip through all the various news channels' weather coverage, I notice a pattern, which is that 90% of the weather people are beautiful, gorgeous, sexy 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. Gone are the days when it's a bunch of old men, actual experts in the weather. It's basically tits and ass or hot young guys in suits. So why am I saying that? Well, it's pretty apparent to me that what's being hired by these media companies are good looks because sex sells. Sex keeps the viewer watching. And unfortunately, that's what journalists have pretty much turned into these days. When you use the word journalist or the term journalist, it pretty much these days equates to a hot young person who's on TV reading some news to you. So I guess that's what I'm getting at with these sorts of questions from this person is that I'm wondering where's the journalism? Because all I'm seeing is a attractive young woman asking questions that are pretty much insubstantial, pretty much biased, and pretty much stroking the ego of an egomaniac. But that's just putting it nicely. So I don't mean to be mean. How difficult was that for you to combat that? Here's what's happening in the courtroom, and here's what's spreading like wildfire outside the doors. Really spreading like wildfire? Oh, do you mean Frank Meister threatening to kill Richard Allen and while packing a firearm and some other troll firms saying that he will be killed no matter what it's going to happen, dude? Anyway, so apparently there was something spreading like wildfire outdoors. Oh, does that mean because what actually happened is 3/4 of the people who were showing up on a daily basis were defense friendly or due process advocates? Is that what the problem was? Because when we looked over in that corner where the prosecution bootlickers were, there were 6, 7 people on a daily basis. hmm And when you looked out in front of the courthouse where all of the due process folks were, you saw 35, 45 people. So yeah, I would say 50 to 8. I think it's an imbalance, but apparently to you, this is spreading like a wildfire. Anyway, enough. I've kind of gone on and on. Um, but he says that's kind of a two-part question. For the pretrial phase, my concern was that we were going to, and here comes the truth. You see, in every one of these, the truth rises to the surface. And I've always said the number one concern of the troll farm, and I knew this a year ago because they were projecting it. I always look for the projection. And a major projection that the trolls were putting out, okay, for a year, going back a year, was taint the jury. Taint the jury pool. You don't know how many times I screenshot that and screen recorded that from the troll farm. They were highly concerned with influencing potential future jurors. And in our last show, in which I went through this thing called pretrial publicity. Remember, I read it to you, and I described to you how PR campaigns in pretrial publicity are extremely important because the public generally has a prosecutorial bias, and if the prosecutorial element can get a narrative out that's implicating the guilt of the killer and at the same time um, lifting up the victims and glorifying the victims, they can do both of those effectively. It has a severe effect on the potential future jurors and the people who will become jurors. So that's why PR campaigns are such an intense or important part these days of the state. And in an instance like this, where you got the Delphi murders, from the very beginning, it's been a huge part where they focused intently on pretrial publicity, i.e., PR campaigns, uh, glorifying the victims and implicating the guilt of the accused, who is Richard Allen. Okay. All right. But he says here, okay, so just with that in mind, that the influencing of the jury or potential future jurors is a major concern of the state of Indiana and the troll farm working for them. He says, my concern was that we were going to taint any kind of jury pool that we had a hope of getting. And so that was my biggest concern, that we're not going to be able to get a jury pool that hasn't heard about this case or hasn't formed an opinion, because there was so much outside noise coming in and so many podcasts and YouTube. Oh, there we go again. Oh, YouTube, those poor YouTubers, those bad YouTubers just constantly causing problems. So many podcasts and YouTube channels and all these different things were reporting. And so pre-trial, that was my main concern. So what's the takeaway looking back at that? So your main concern pre-trial was the YouTubers influencing the jury pool? No wonder you allowed and encouraged the troll farm, your PR team, to engage upon the harassment, slander, doxing, death threats, and all that they did to all of us, because you thought it was fair. Okay, you thought that was fine because you wanted someone to combat those who you felt were going to influence the jurors in the way you didn't want them influenced. You see, the truth always comes out. But the preoccupation with YouTubers is just astounding. Remember, this is already the second time it's been mentioned. And then he says, I've never dealt with a case that has so much publicity. So there's a legitimate concern in this case. When you get to trial, again, I really didn't have a concern because the jury was sequestered. And so I felt pretty confident that they weren't getting all that outside noise when we get to trial. My biggest concern was the safety. So he's moved on now. Safety of witnesses we had coming into and outside of the courthouse, in and out of the court. And the safety of the family coming in and out of the court. And just then, the safety of the officers working the courthouse and the grounds around the courthouse, because my concern was that a YouTuber, the third time, a YouTuber or a podcaster or somebody else was going to fuel the fire for someone who would act on those emotions and do something drastic. Either intentionally mess up the trial, say something with the audience to cause a ruckus in the courthouse, put the officers in dangers, put witnesses in dangers. So those are my concerns with that kind of outside publicity, not so much with the facts of the case. Wow. I'll refrain from commenting. We'll save it. We'll save it. But you're awfully upset and concerned and preoccupied, even obsessed with YouTubers. I mean, kind of telling. And you even thought that YouTubers would cause some kind of violence or incident outside of the courthouse with the family or witnesses? Hey, look, let's be real here. I think we got a whole bunch more to worry about in terms of violence in your county, which is the fucking white supremacist domestic terrorist, the neo-Nazi element in your town, prison gangs, the white boys, the outlaw hammerskins element working for the cartel. Yeah, I think that's what you got to worry about, bud. It's not the YouTubers. But that's okay. Like I said, there's criticism for Carroll County and Delphi because you're allowing that element within your own society to eat your children alive. What kind of community covers up the murders of its own children? Thank you, Chevy Killer. What, you can't get into the chat? Or you're not a member? Jeez. Sorry, Chevy. I wish I could gift you one. I don't know how to do that, but if we could figure out how to gift you a membership, I'll give you a membership. Maybe Amy will tell me. Sorry, Chevy. Chevy Killer. No, I want to gift him a membership, Heather. I just don't know how. I wish it was easy. But we might figure it out, okay? So let me continue, though. Oh, maybe. Thank you so much, Lee with Love. Maybe that will hit him. Can we please get Chevy Killer a fucking membership? He's here every show, y'all. Come on, man. He's here every show. Let's see. Get him a membership, please. Let's see if those drop and one hits him. No. I don't see one hitting his account. Don't worry, Chevy. We'll get you right, bro. We'll get you a membership. I know there's a way I can gift him. I just haven't learned how yet. Oh, okay. Why don't they make it easy to just buy someone a membership? You know, it would be nice if I could say, let me buy Chevy a membership. All right, so but we'll get it straight. I'm sorry, Chevy. Look, let's continue. So where am I? Oh, did I lose my spot? Oh man, okay, here we are. All right, we're on to the next question. So I want to do this for you. I want to do this for you. You mentioned some about, sequestering the jury, polling the jury, hoping that you're going to get a jury that, whether they've heard about the case, haven't heard about the case, but ultimately a jury that has no formed opinion. How do you feel Richard Allen had a fair trial? No, do you feel Richard Allen had a fair trial? And here with the gaslight of all gaslights. Yes. All right. So just so that you all know out there in the world, we do broadcast over to Scotland, to Netherlands, to New Zealand, and all in between. Okay. We know for certain Nicholas McLeland is broadcasting to the world that he feels Richard Allen had a fair trial. Yeah, there you go, to Norway. You can't make this shit up. You've been trying to figure out how to give memberships? Yeah, I'm sorry it's not working out. But we'll figure it out before the next week. Okay. It's only be Wednesdays. So again, do you feel Richard Allen had a fair trial? Yes. Wow, can't make this shit up. I mean, is there any other option for him to honestly answer though? I mean, because what if he'd say if he'd say no? I mean, what if he would have said no? I don't think so, or I don't know. He probably did. Is there any option for him to say other than yes, he got a fair trial? I mean, I think we learned last night. For those of you who don't know, I did an absolutely fabulous show last night. Not so much because of me, but because of the subject matter that we covered. You know, last night we did cover the incredible documents that dropped on Monday, okay, or that were filed on Monday. The motion for or the Jesus Christ motion for newly oh God, I'll have to go and open this file and read it to you because I'm all out of my kid is singing in the next room. Oh, it's called the motion to correct error, right? We went over that and a couple other things yesterday. It was an absolutely fabulous fabulous group of documents, and we went over that. Let me tell my kid to shut up. Okay, sorry. Motion to correct error. Um, so I've lost train of thought, but shit. Yesterday, the motion to correct error that we covered. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. I was very happy with the information. Like I said, not necessarily my performance and entertaining you that much, but I called it flame throwing the Delphi BS. Okay, flame throwing the Delphi BS. It was about the motion to correct error and the other filings, and I think it was excellent because of what was covered. So I guess what I was saying is that McLeland's response that or declaration that Richard Allen received a fair trial, I think it's pretty insulting to say that outright that way, especially if you were go back and consider the flame throwing the Delphi BS or the motion to correct error, etc. There were so many lies. Okay, remember, this whole thing started with a lie, right? You started by omitting Betsy Blair's uh, description of a 1965 comment. You started by conflating several witnesses' description onto one description. You turned Richard Allen into bridge guy, even though didn't make sense considering the witnesses. You also incredibly selectively chose the word bloody from a witness who had only used the word muddy first 2 years. There were so many misrepresentations, omissions, and possibly outright lies in that PCA for Richard Allen. You started off that way, okay? Then you arrest him. When you say you're bringing him in to talk to him, you decide to have a safekeeping proceeding without him or any representation present. He has no option to refuse or reject that safekeeping. He's put into Westville where he's tortured and abused and threatened by gang members who you call corrections officers in order to compel him to agree to a plea deal, which would have done him no good. As a result of that, and in violation of the Geneva Convention, he goes into a mental deterioration, a physical deterioration, a psychological break. His mind cracks in half. And in the middle of that mind being cracked in half, you have Manakawala come in and feed him a couple pieces of information that are crucial, including the word box cutter and van. You obstruct any chance of a defense being presented with facts drawn from discovery, like Elvis Fields. You know what? Actually, I want to do this. And I know that some of you will be up in arms because we're taking a little detour. I think this is necessary. We need to talk about Elvis Fields because this is something I haven't really screamed and yelled about because we've been so busy. I need to scream and yell about this right now because I noticed Jerry Holman tried to lie again. There's one very, 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 very interesting thing here that I don't know if you even realize, and I don't know if this man even realized is in discovery, but let's see. I would like to draw your attention to page 73 of Frank's memorandum. Okay, so if you have that, page 73, footnote 91. Okay, page 73 of the Frank's memorandum, footnote 91, states specifically on October 24th, 2017, Elvis told his sister, Joyce Moffett, that, quote, I am in trouble. I am going away for a long time. I was on that trail and that bridge with those girls when they were murdered. There were two other people there with me when it happened. I spit on one of the girls after they were killed. This is directly from the Joyce Moffett interview, supplement number 542, attached and marked as exhibit 64 to Frank's memorandum. Did you just hear what I read? I think it actually warrants another reading. On October 24th of 2017, Elvis told Joyce Moffett, his sister, the following. I am in trouble. I'm going away for a long time. I was on that trail and that bridge with those girls when they were murdered. There were two other people there with me when it happened. I spit on one of the girls after they were killed. Joyce Moffett interview. Question here. Does that match up with what Holman recently said? That Elvis was afraid someone would scoop his spit up off the ground and go put it on one of the girls? Am I the only one that finds page 73, footnote 91 alarming? But no. The judge made sure that this jury would not be able to learn of that fact. And in my opinion, the cartel made sure that Stephanie Thompson would not be able to attest to the fact. Mm-hmm. But let's get back to this. My point here is that McLeland feels or declares to the world, to Holland, Scotland, New Zealand, Australia, Indiana, California, etc., that Richard Allen received a fair trial. And statements like that were not allowed in. Witnesses were allowed to lie on the stand. And for those who are new to this case, I hope you understand what I am saying. Witnesses were knowingly allowed to lie on the stand. Witnesses were omitted from this case. This entire thing was played like a chess game with witnesses. A one in which cheating is happening on top of that. Witnesses were coerced, compelled, bullied, ignored, words were twisted. I'm telling you, no fair trial. And then on top of that, you get a jury who are socializing with law enforcement the entire time, the entire month, partying, enjoying themselves, barbecuing, shooting the shit, smoking, hanging out. But sure, there's nothing inappropriate that went on. Right? Everything was on the up and up. The world is up in arms for no reason regarding the trial of Richard Allen. Everyone is up in arms for no reason. We're all completely out of our minds. The entire public's perception is skewed. The state has had it absolutely right. If you don't like it, leave the country, says Doug Carter. If you don't like it, leave. Forget the fact that you're a U.S. citizen. You're rightfully here. No, if you don't like it, leave. That's your option. You see, the reason they're all out here running their mouths is because they know the public doesn't like what has happened. They're trying all they can to do some damage control. And hey, that could have been achieved easily. Allow cameras in the courtroom. Be transparent from the very beginning. Don't allow witnesses to lie. Investigate everyone who deserves to be investigated. And don't delete all the important shit that you had to delete to railroad Richard Allen. Then you would not have any public outcry of corruption, of impropriety, of collusion. But no, they couldn't do things the right way. You see, they've been so used to doing this good old boy shit since the very beginning. They never thought the world would be watching in retrospect and looking into this. So now they're fucked because they did all this good old boy shit because they're used to doing it. And what's happened now is the scrutiny comes. And they can't handle the scrutiny, which is resulting in things like this. This results in you being upset about YouTubers. Let me continue. If I keep going off on a soapbox, this will take too long. How do you feel in terms of sequestering process with the jury? You think it went smoothly, or how difficult was for you or your team to cultivate that jury? What an odd question. Well, we didn't have anything. I mean, we didn't have any responsibility with having them sequestered. That was all on the staff from Allen County. Wait, hold on. Wasn't Mullen overseeing that? And wasn't law enforcement babysitting and yapping it up with the jurors the entire time? Yeah, surely what law enforcement would not be biased or preferential to the prosecution of the person that they have themselves arrested and charged with this double homicide, right? Surely there's no bias on law enforcement to have Richard Allen prosecuted, found guilty. I think they did a great job. Of course you did. You think Richard Allen had a fair trial, and you think that the jury was cultivated. It was a great job because they didn't allow the jury to be contacted by outside sources, and they took all those necessary steps. I think they did a great job. Once we started the trial, we didn't have any concern about them being sequestered. We trusted that the Allen County staff was going to take care of that. And again, we just focused on what we had to present. A lot of it is, I don't want it. It's not tunnel vision, but a lot of it is keeping your eye on the ball and focusing on what you have to present and not getting caught up in all that. So that's what we did. And there's a completely pointless question here. Completely pointless. Here it is. This case had lots of ups and downs. I think with anybody who was in there, I'm sure for the prosecuting team too. Are you surprised that Richard Allen didn't testify? Why in the fuck? Look, lady. Why in the world would Richard Allen testify in this scenario? Like, do you understand that makes zero sense? It's a clear railroading. You're clearly not allowing any defense. There's ultimately it's like it's obvious bias on the side of this court or this judge. Obvious bias. And you think that Richard Allen's or his attorneys would be stupid enough to put him on the stand? No, being a defense attorney for as long as but that's always the big question. Do you have the defendant testify? And it's a catch-22. They have the absolute right not to testify. And if they don't testify, then you're relying on evidence either the prosecutor put up or that you can get out through other witnesses. If they don't testify, the jury is not able to hear them say, I didn't do it. And I think that's a big thing for juries to hear. On the other hand, if you have them testify, you open them up to cross-examination. Yeah, with a biased judge, an unhinged prosecutor. You see? Missing, fabricated, questionable evidence, witnesses. You understand why they would not put Richard Allen on the stand and why they would not allow you being facilitated by that biased judge who was going to make it just your way. They would have been idiots to put Richard Allen on the stand because you would have abused him on the cross and did things the wrong way, and the judge would have greenlit it and it just allowed it all. And every objection they would have made, she would have denied or overruled. So it was a no-win situation. Of course, Richard Allen ain't taking the stand, and that's a stupid question. So you have to look at it individually. And so I wasn't surprised he didn't testify, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he did. We were prepared if he did with questions that we were going to ask him. But that's always a very tough decision as a defense attorney, whether or not you have your client testify. And oftentimes you have to make a decision on the fly. Is it going to help me or is it going to hurt me? So I think we were prepared for either way they went. So I guess I wasn't surprised, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he had testified as well. What? Okay. Here's another non-answer. So the question is, speaking of the jury, in your opinion, what do you think did it for the jury? What do you think was the tipping point to reach that guilty verdict? Well, I got my opinion, but I'll refrain from expressing it. I don't know. One of my pet peeves is when people tell me how to feel or, what to think. And I'm not going to sit here and tell the jury, how they should have hung their hat on this or da 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 da. You have 12 individuals who have different life experiences and think differently and blah, 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 blah. Then he says something interesting, though, and you guys need to listen to this because this is money right here. Listen to the way this comes out. What may have been the deciding factor for one juror may not have been the deciding factor for another juror. One juror may have bought into or believed in the science of the ballistics. Oh, it's funny how the truth just rises to the surface, boy. Yeah, right. Because you would have had to be a fucking idiot to buy into the ballistics, quote unquote. Judging from this juror who has spoken, it doesn't really seem that the jury bought into this ballistics, the science of the ballistics. No. Interesting, you let that one slip out. But it's almost like you're projecting your fantasies of what you would have wished for. Bought into the science of the ballistics, one juror may have said, okay, the timeline is what I hung. Oh, so timeline is a concern. Yeah, because that's another piece that doesn't add up. Okay. We broke that down in the flamethrowing episode. Timeline doesn't work. And the more facts that come out about this case, you out there will all realize that the timeline doesn't work. And it's how I know that Richard Allen did not have anything to do with murdering Abby and Libby. Why? Because the timeline doesn't work. And one juror may have said the confessions. Again, you project. Ballistics, timeline, confessions. All three, are bullshit. So all three, you're psychologically projecting here as what you fantasize the jury would have hung their hat on. Well, any juror that hung their hat on those confessions was a complete fucking moron. Let me just put it nicely. Again, need I remind you how many people have confessed to the murders of Abby and Libby? I don't think you want me to say it here. I know there's some people out there listening right now who don't want me to say it. Because there have been several who have confessed to the murders of Abby and Libby. And there's receipts for it all. There have been people who've confessed to killing Abby and Libby within days of their murders. In my mind, it was just a totality of everything that led to the conviction. But again, that would be a question for the jurors. I don't want to try to tell them what they think or tell them what they should have hung their hat on. Well, I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you what it was. You kept information from the jurors that would have been essential in them understanding the greater context of this story. That's what did it for the jurors. You emotionally manipulated them, kept them ignorant. Like, think about it. It's the picture of narcissistic abuse. If you read about abusive relationships, oh, what do? Narcissists will take a lover, imprison them, so to speak, cut them off from their friends and family. They will emotionally manipulate them. They will keep information from them. All for what reason? Well, to better control them. It's the quintessential picture of the narcissistic dynamic. And it's exactly what happened to this jury. And if you say it's not, surely you're in denial, whether willingly or unwillingly, knowingly, unknowingly. You're absolutely in denial if you cannot admit that the typical pattern of narcissistic abuse is actually what happened to this jury. And it really shines a light onto your inner being that you would not only green like that, but make it happen. Do all you can to make it happen, and have the judge just facilitate that all the way. So yeah, totality of everything. Yeah, fantasy. Fantasy. There was no case. There was no case against Richard Allen. Okay, can we be honest here? There was no case against Richard Allen. What there was manipulation, lies, ignorance, and keeping information. That's what you had against Richard Allen. And coerced confessions fed information from Dr. Manakawala under threat of murder of you and your family from the gangsters that you call correctional officers, who just so happened to be members of the neo-Nazi element that's running this arm of the cartel in central Indiana. But never mind me. I'm just a YouTuber. When you hear the word theory really being just thrown around, when you hear that word theory thrown out about as a prosecutor, when you hear that word thrown around, what goes through your mind when you hear this word theory thrown around the way that it has been? What the fuck? Lady, again, lady, listen. Your ACT, SATs, I know they weren't that high, right? Because you're asking questions. These questions don't even make sense, but I understand you're cute looking. Um, but theory, I mean, it's sort of hard to understand even what you're asking in this question, but I can judge from the response. It almost makes me think you guys had a little discussion before about what you're going to talk about, because you fed him just what he needed to go off on the. Well, I've said before, I'll stick to it. It's okay if you want to use the word theory, but you got to back it up with evidence. And if you want that theory to become a truth, you got to have evidence to back it up. And we live and die by burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And so if you can prove a theory beyond a reasonable doubt, then to me it becomes a truth in the court of law. And until then, it's just a theory. And that's just what it is. It's an idea of what you thought happened. So I don't have a problem with people throwing that word around. But where's the evidence? Well, here's the fucking evidence. Megan Allen, her brother, and all those guys out there. Daniel Pearson, Shelby Hicks, Cheyenne, Shelby Duncan, 3 classmates. What happened to Abby and Libby? Were some of those Kokomo crew tied to some of these neo-Nazis? Finlanders? Were they all engaged in something? which the girls came intertwined in, and your fucking witnesses decided to lie about to keep their own ass out of hot water? How's that for a theory? I mean, if you're gang raping one girl, why not gang rape the others? Oh, but it's odd that there was no Megan Allen and that whole group of guys in Discovery. It's odd that they did not come into trial. It's odd that Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks did not come into. Well, Shelby did. Where was Daniel? Where was Shelby Duncan? You know what else is odd to me? Why did Betsy Blair decide to park, immediately walk out to that bridge, supposedly witness somebody on the first platform, and then immediately decide to walk immediately back to her car? What kind of fucking sense does that make? You see, all your witnesses seem to be afraid of telling the truth. How's that for a theory? I think there's a culture of fear surrounding the guys that did a harm to these girls. And that culture of fear has kept them protected, kept Abby and Libby in the midst of controversy, kept Richard Allen caught up in a fucking life sentence situation, and caused your witnesses to lie. I think maybe that culture of fear should be eliminated from your communities. And therefore, people can actually be fucking human beings and tell the truth about the murders of the children in their communities. How's that for a theory? Now, give me a moment. I'm going to continue just a second, please. All right. Sorry. Thank you for everyone for waiting. So now we're going to get into an area. This is where it starts to, produce fruit. There's been so much time where neither side had an opportunity to say much. It was under the gag order. What to you did the gag order mean? What kind of shit is that? Gag order to me, says McLeland, was just a reiteration or a re-emphasis on the rules of professional conduct. That we're bound by. And that's that you should not put anything out in the public that's going to try to taint the jury or elicit a response from the public. And we are bound by those rules. And the gag order is just an emphasis of that, to say, don't talk about this case in the public. Don't put out press releases that try, you know, condition the public to whether Richard Allen was guilty or innocent. And mainly, that was done so we can get a jury that's not tainted. Here it comes up again. Or biased. I really had a fear that we were, regardless of how many people we subpoenaed in to be for jury duty, that we weren't going to find 12 that hadn't heard about the case. And so it was a real concern for me. I wanted to be able to get 12 people who didn't form an opinion about this case, were unbiased, so that we could have a fair trial, not only for the state, but for Richard Allen. Oh, really, really, really. The person that you say killed two little girls and that you objected at every fucking turn through the past 2 years. You actually expect anyone to believe that you wanted a fair trial? And so I'm going to read something for just a moment. Let me do this because my kid's crying again. Just a second. All right. My dog had an accident. Oh my gosh. We're going to have to go let him back in a moment. All right. So where am I? Let's see. So he referenced the rules of professional conduct. So here's what we're going to do real quickly. Here's what we're going to do. Indiana rules of professional conduct. Rule 3.6, publicity. A lawyer who is participating or has participated in the investigation or litigation of a matter shall not make an extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding in the matter. Notwithstanding paragraph A, a lawyer may state the claim, offense, or defense involved, information contained in a public record, that an investigation is a matter is in progress, the scheduling or result of any step in litigation, the request for assistance in obtaining evidence and information, a warning of danger concerning the behavior of a person potentially involved, when there's reason to believe that there exists a likelihood of substantial harm to an individual or the public interest. And in a criminal case, in addition to that, the identity, residence, occupation, and family status of the accused. The accused has not been apprehended, information necessary in the apprehension, the fact, time, and place of arrest, the identity of investigating and arresting officers. A lawyer may make a statement that a reasonable lawyer would believe is required to protect the client from substantial undue prejudice effect prejudicial effect of recent publicity not initiated by the lawyer or the lawyer's client. A statement made pursuant to the paragraph shall be limited to such information as is necessary to mitigate the recent adverse publicity. A statement referred to in paragraph A will be rebutted or rebuttably presumed to have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding when it refers to a proceeding and the statement is related to the character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party or suspect or identity of a witness. In a criminal case or proceeding that could result in incarceration, the possibility of a plea of guilty to the offense or the existence or contents of any confession, admission, or statement given by a defendant or suspect that a person or that a person's refusal or failure to make a statement, the performance or results of any examination or test or refusal to submit to an examination or test, any opinion as to the guilt or innocence of a defendant or suspect, information that a lawyer knows or reasonably should know is likely to be inadmissible as evidence. Okay, the fact that a defendant has been charged with a crime unless there is included therein a statement explaining that the charge is merely an accusation and that defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. No lawyer associated in a firm or government agency with a lawyer subject to paragraph A shall make a statement prohibited. So let's go back to paragraph A because I'm about to slam dunk this one. A lawyer who is participating in this matter, Nick McLeland, shall not make an extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication. Okay, does that mean talking to Fig Solves and giving him information in this case? Again, a lawyer who is participating or has participated in the investigation or litigation of a matter shall not make an extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication. Well, you're talking to YouTubers? Well, it's funny that you would be so offended by the behavior, content, opinions of YouTubers, yet yourself be feeding information to YouTubers, which you know they are going to go forward and perpetuate through their platforms. So you see how they turn everything. So what they want to say is that Baldwin and Rossi violated the gag order by filing the Franks memorandum, which was a part of this process, and they were obligated to file. You talking to Fig Solves, you were not obligated to do. You did so willingly. He went and ran his mouth on his channel about that. And he fed it to all the other troll farm YouTubers who went and run their mouths on their channels about it. So let me ask, who violated the gag order and the rules of professional conduct in the state of Indiana? See, that's a conversation we don't want to have, right? You don't want to have that conversation. So it's so easy these days, I think, to electronically disseminate anything. I mean, still, to our newsroom, we get leaked crime scene photos. That photo was leaked. Sure. As a prosecutor, sure. As the prosecutor, do you think that there should be something in place to try to protect evidence like this? Or do you think that there should be a safeguard or sorts of anything that might prevent things? Yeah, it's called under fucking seal, lady. There's already a deal. It's called seal. I think lawyers are the safeguard, both the state and the defense. I think we're the safeguard. We have an obligation to protect confidential information, sensitive information we get in discovery. I think we have to be the safeguard. Yeah, it's called the rules of professional conduct, which I just read to you. We have attorneys of responsibility, especially dealing with children. And if children are victims of things like children's statements, photos of children, photos of the crime scene that involve children. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that with photos of crime scenes that involve adults, but I think we have an extra level of care and duty to protect those things that involve children victims. So I think the attorneys are the safeguard. Is there a better safeguard? Blah, 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 blah. Look, can we talk about the fact that Baldwin was the victim of Mitch Westerman? Okay. Mitch Westerman was the victim of Robert Fortson. Robert Fortson was the victim of Mark Cohen and Jerry Holman. Are we starting to get this? What I find odd is you don't want those photos out there because they prove that your story doesn't make sense and that those sticks are not randomly placed. Because when it comes to it, at the end of the day, the bottom line is those photos prove that those sticks were not randomly placed on those girls' bodies. And that's a huge deal for you. Oh, that's so important because as a mom myself, I would never want photos like that of my child to be circulating on the internet. No one in their right mind would want that. That's why it's important to let people know, hey, this is not okay. At the press conference, I said, I think that we've gone down this road with a lot of the YouTubers and podcasters and even some media that it's all about how many people I can get to tune in or how many clicks I can get. Blah, blah. No, bitch. This ain't about clickbait. Okay. This is about the truth about what happened to those little girls, which for some reason you people don't want told. Blah, 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 blah. As far as showing the crime scene, where there's two girls that are dead and one of which is naked. No, she's not naked. She's nude and it has been redacted with black boxes. Okay. Can we be honest here? There's no nudity in those photos. There's nothing inappropriate in those photos. They are redacted. What is important in those photos are the sticks arranged on those bodies symmetrically, perfectly at right angles. Just like that marking on the tree exhibiting right angles. That's what you people don't want out in the public because right angles don't just happen. I just want to emphasize that you could tell this story without those photos. No, you can't. No, you can't. Because no one's going to believe it until they see it for themselves because it's already unbelievable. If you pass those photos on, you're part of the problem. And we in law enforcement, we did our best to scrub the internet of those photos. Yeah, you scrub the internet of a lot of shit. And guess what? Everyone who's followed the Delphi murders for years knows that you've scrubbed the internet of a lot of shit. Why? If it gets out on the internet, it gets posted to Twitter or Facebook or whatever, it's out there on the internet and you can never get it back, blah, 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 and use these photos to get more clicks or get more readers of your story, blah, blah, blah. That's something else because the only way the way Becky Patty said is it's generational. Oh, the only way we're going to stop those from being, I guess it's published through the internet is to get people to stop sending them forward. How did the heaviness play a role or toll on you as a prosecutor? I mean, I can't imagine the time and hours that are put into a case like this, on top of the heaviness. Yeah, the time and hours. I mean, obviously, we spent Myself, Jerry Holman, Indiana State Police, my investigator, Steve Mullen, everybody involved spent a ton of time trying to track down how the leak occurred. Wait. We're not talking about the leak. A little obsessed, are we, eh? A little obsessed that why? You know what I noticed about this interview? 2/3 of the interview, he talks about this leak, these leaks. You think there's a little something going on here? I've said to you that this is pretty much a fluff piece, right? It's a vanity piece here. But isn't it odd that in a fluff piece, he's going to dedicate 2/3 of the time to obsessing over the leaks? Which, as Andy Baldwin said, yeah, should be investigated. They absolutely should. Probably should be the number one priority after this whole thing is solved. But it's odd that you're obsessing over this. She didn't ask about the fucking leaks. She asked about how much time and heaviness to this whole case. And you go back to the leaks. Okay, we're trying to scrub the internet of those photos, and so that just takes on top of everything else you're doing with the case. It's just a huge amount of work to try to do that because and you get consumed with emotion where you kind of take your eye off the ball. And I think afterwards it hit me a little harder to think those pictures are still out there. And there are these two little girls, and I think I have so much compassion for the family. Yeah, you're a family member. You would. And how they feel. I mean, people were sending them those photos and, saying, hey, these are out there and this kind of thing. So it really took an emotional toll on me afterwards because I started thinking about the family and and kind of words that Becky said hit home. But wait, hold on. First name basis? Becky? Who's Becky? Why are you on first name basis? I think there's a conflict of interest. You see, you are related to the victims or to the victim. You're on a first name basis with Becky. And the kind of words that Becky said hit home pretty hard. It's generational. That's just what I said at the press conference. What if it was your children? And so during trial, it angered me that those were out there. And there's no reason for those to be out there. I don't care what kind of story you want to publish. You don't need those pictures to promote that story, in my opinion. And so it really angered me. And then afterwards, yeah, it's emotional to think, I have kids too. And it's just emotional to think, what if those are my girls? And, what if there were pictures of my nieces or my sisters, whatever the case may be? So outside of leaked photos, just the case itself. I mean, as a parent yourself, as somebody who's got to go home and take care of kids. Yeah, get him back on track. Get him, because there's an obsession with these leaks. I can't even imagine the hours that go into preparing for something like this case. Generally speaking, outside of the leak photos, can you just share what it was like for you and how you navigate it? There are days you get overwhelmed and you just want to quit. And, because you have 2 or 3 other things going on, you may have another fire to put out in the office or another case that came in and you have to deal with that on top of stuff for Richard Allen. There are days you get overwhelmed, but you just got to organize and keep it away. You just accomplish one task at a time, trying not to get overwhelmed. But there are definitely days that you get overwhelmed. And I think I have so much I don't know it's going to bother. There's a lot of sleepless nights away from family, friends, a lot of missed family events. And you just have to sacrifice, put in the work that's necessary, and we're paid for 37 hours a week. And you're not working 37 hours a week. And when you're working this kind of case, I mean, you don't know how many hours, and I don't know. You just wonder how many hours I put in a bunch. But generally speaking, you talked a lot about how does one not take something like that home, the heaviness home? How does it not let it get to the? I don't know. You just learn to leave. I guess that part at home. And I mean, I guess you think about it all night, all day when you're at home with your kids, with your family. It's what you think about, and it's hard to get away with it or away from it because family wants to talk about it. My friends want to talk about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. And you know what's going on, but you just kind of have to be able to put it on the side and enjoy the time that you have away because it's your time to recharge. When you come back, you can work on the case again, but something not easy, just something you learn. I think probably all attorneys have this ability where they can kind of put those cases aside and put emotion aside, still go home, enjoy time with friends and family. All right, give me another moment and I'll be right back. All right, guys, sorry. Dealt with the problems I was having. So, sorry. Waiting for the verdict probably felt like forever. I mean, people kept saying 19 and a half hours. It was more than 19 and a half hours. The jury was deliberating for 19 and a half hours, but there was time, obviously, that you're sitting there, you're waiting, you're wondering. Walk me through that time with you guys in the prosecuting team of the longer you waited. What was that like? It's always hard waiting for the jury to come back. And I imagine if you took a poll of 50 attorneys, blah, 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 you've had blah, 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 right? Bullshit. You've had half come back, say it's better if they come back quick, half come back better if they come back late, take longer to decide, if it's tough to wait, it wasn't so bad the first couple days, Sunday off, blah, 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 Monday, where the jury was off and we didn't have to come into court, blah, 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 it's home. Hard day because you're wondering, what are they doing? What are they thinking? So the waiting is always, it's tough for me, but it may not be for other attorneys, but it always is for me. How much second guessing do you do during that? Did I do this right? Did I do that right? I should have done this differently. I think, you always do. I mean, I can't tell how much about, yeah, you're always going to second guess. I mean, I should have done this. I should have not objected there. I should have not put that in evidence there, blah, blah. For me, that's normal. Even if, I put on a very strong case and I'm confident the jury is going to come back with guilty, I still wonder, should I have done that? Should I have done this, the thing they hung their hat on, because, at the end of the day, what the jury is going to make the decision on. when it comes to cameras in the courtroom, do you think that would have impacted the trial? Would it have been differently if there were cameras in the courtroom? I don't know. I've never done a trial with cameras in the courtroom, so can't really answer that question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Automatically going into this, assume that if you get that guilty verdict, there could be an appeal process. Yeah, I think so, especially with a murder charge and the fact that the sentence was that it what it was, even that kind of minimal sentence on these kind of charges of 45 years. So, I think in any kind of murder conviction, you expect an appeal. I mean, we expected we expected it from day one that if we got a guilty verdict, he's gonna appeal it. So yeah, that's something we were ready for. I'll tell you right now. That's why Judge Gull did a change of venue. Okay, I'll tell you immediately. The reason there was a change of venue at the beginning of this is because they knew appeal would come. They tried to get ahead of it because one of the first things that would have been in effect if an appeal happens is venue. So the very first thing they did to try to shortcut that was, oh, well, we'll just do the change of venue. But odd that that change of venue. We'll talk about that at a later point. Let's see. What's your role? Should an appeal happen? I mean, should an appeal happen? I mean, I know it's obviously been discussed. They're heavily saying they're going to do it because he's been appointed attorneys. The Attorney General's office will represent the state of Indiana, and the Attorney General will probably appoint one or two attorneys to handle the appeal. Our role at that point, Stacy Nieder and James Luttrell, become more of a supportive role, help with the documentation if they need a review, if they have questions about what happened in the courtroom or how something was presented, or there was support for them to say what information you need, let us know, blah, 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 blah. That's where it's at because we're the people in the courtroom trying it, and they're not just and they're not. So we're just a supportive role. Should an appeal go through? Do you prosecute it again? When you say, should an appeal go through? If an appeal goes through, it goes back and the Court of Appeal says something was done wrong and it has to be retried. Do we try it again? Absolutely. You can't talk for so long. So, I mean, is there anything you want to say or you want people to know or take away from whether this case, this case or the impact it had on the community or where you go from here, blah, 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 blah. And here, all right. God damn it. I love that they're out here talking. I do. I love that they're out here talking. I do. Because they will let you know. That's the thing about people. Don't talk. If you're guilty of something, don't fucking talk about it. Because when you talk, the truth is inevitably going to come out. And I'm about to tell you all the liars. And here's how you know. Okay? I guess if I had anything to say, just thank you to everybody that helped along the way. I always forget names, but you know, Doug Carter, Jerry Holman, Steve Mullen, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell, my staff, the investigators, Rich Davies, Brian Harshman. Oh, you know, just the list is endless. I said the other day that I could not have done this by myself, and I did not do this by myself. All those law enforcement officers, Stacy and Jim, the attorneys, helped me do it. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think that there's not need be another word said. Doug Carter, Jerry Holman, Steve Mullen, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell, Rich Davies, Brian Harshman. They helped me do it. And honestly, that's all I have to say about that, y'all. That's all I have to say about that. Now, this was called Delphi. Prosecutor McLeland continues his unhinged PR tour. That was a hell of an exhibition. It really was. And as I said, to me, what was interesting is this is his moment in the sun. Think about it. This is where he gets to sit behind his big ass desk, be Mr. Important, get asked questions by a pretty lady on TV, give all the answers. Like I said, a fluff piece, vanity, uh, his time to shine. And that's what you got, a whole bunch of nothing, obsessing over YouTubers and the leaks for a good third or more of that. I'd like to know, question for you out there. And this is, I mean, in all honesty, in the most genuine way imaginable or possible. You listen to an interview of Andy Baldwin, and then you listen to this interview, and you tell me who comes across as more credible, more genuine, more important, and more right. I know for me, it's pretty obvious. It's night and day, and I know that the majority of people are seeing that. And now, honestly, the most interesting thing when Richard Allen's attorneys first came out after that unhinged press conference and gave a couple interviews, particularly those on television, I saw an immense outpouring of support and people saying, wow, it makes all the difference to see them in person. The stark contrast between the genuine nature and the other side that you're seeing from Holman. Well, I'll just leave it at that. I mean, anything that you've heard from the murder shits. So, the problem here, as I've said so many times, this is no longer a problem where Prof is involved. This is no longer a small potatoes problem. This is a PR nightmare for the state of Indiana. It truly is. Um, you see, the thing is in politics, when the masses are on your side, it's an unbelievable force to reckon with. And this is what we're dealing with in Indiana right now. The masses are on the side of Andy Baldwin, Brad Rossi, Jennifer Auger, Richard Allen, Kathy Allen, and all of us here in the chat. And that's nothing that any of us could have created of our own free will because none of us have that power. That's something that's organic. It's outside of our control, and it's an undefeatable force for good in this case or instance. So that's where we are right now. There's an absolute nightmare for the Delphi prosecution right now because they've lost the public trust. The numbers are not on their side. So that's why you see them out here continuing to talk, continuing to push their views, try to establish credibility, and complain about the internet. And I think it's a sign of the times, and it's only going to get worse from here for them. And honestly, I truly do believe that. It's not wishful thinking because just since trial, it's doubled. You know, these numbers have doubled. What's going to happen in another month or in another 2 months or 4 or 12? People ain't buying it. So something's got to give. And like I said, it's no longer in the hands of the YouTubers. This is an awakening to the Delphi murders. And you can't put that genie back in the bottle, the cat back in the bag, whatever you want to fucking say. You can't put it back where it came from. So, as I've said so many times, I can't do nothing about Richard Allen, but I can do something about Abigail and Liberty and all of the open source information that's been out here for years. Okay. So let's see if I can say hello to a few of you before we get out of here. I'm ready to go already. So let's start here. Digital. What's up, Digital? Till the Attorney General tells him, shut the F up. Yeah. So speaking of that, how many of you know someone named Anthony Scott? Anthony Scott is the new ISP superintendent, Doug Carter's replacement. I wonder what he has to say about all of this and the sullied reputation of his institution. How does the cartel, LE, and the good old boys survive in one county like they do? Oh, it's one big happy family. You see, everyone sees the color green. It's the unifying force of the universe. Color green. They dream in green. They see green. It's the unifying force of Carroll County and the United States of America and the world for that matter. So much evidence all in plain sight. Yes, it always has been. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that this crime was completely solved on the public internet within months of the murders. Now, is anyone ever going to acknowledge that? Is an actual investigation ever going to be done into the people who openly placed themselves there, openly admitted to being involved in this, and openly said that they were there at the place and time, et cetera, et cetera? Makes you wonder. How loud do you have to scream it before someone takes a look at it? Okay. I think I went full moron. Why was prosecution making a big deal about water in the HP jack? Because it's the only excuse that they could dredge up to try to substantiate their timeline. And you know, the funniest thing, they pretend that this excuse came on the fly in the courtroom. That's bullshit. I have it documented with some of the trolls. The trolls were running their mouths before it came up in court about this very issue. And the trolls were openly declaring that it's water or dirt in the headphone jack. And suddenly it comes up in court, and Cecil coincidentally also comes up with that answer after allegedly quickly Google searching on the fly. No, I think the truth is that was always the strategy. And they decided there's no science for it, there's no validity behind it. All there is a Google search that produces it, allegedly, which I still haven't seen. But they decided that the way we'll try to manipulate the jury on this point is we'll just claim that there's a Google search that says it's water or dirt in a jack, which was a talking point that a certain someone, a mass major leaker, was running his mouth about on the YouTubes before trial. If you email me privately, I'll tell you who it was and where. Seems like water is irrelevant because first they didn't find water damage. Yes. And there was iPhone, find my iPhone activated, even though the family lied and said it was not. Well, there's some other family lies. For instance, was it Anna Williams driving those girls around on the day before? Bringing them here, bringing them there, bringing them there, getting art supplies, blah, 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 blah. Or was it Derek German? I just wonder who's telling the truth, one victim's father or one victim's mother? Because certainly both can't be telling the truth if they're both the ones who brought the girls around on the day before. Why are there so many lies around this case? I'll never be able to give you the answer because I don't know. Why would anyone ever lie about the murders of their own children and their children in their community? Who the fuck would ever do that? And their own friends and family. But you know, like I said, if you're in Delphi, hide your wife. You know, obviously McLeland is very butthurt about the criticism of Delphi in Carroll County, but he doesn't seem to get it. That people just don't understand why everyone around these kids would be lying. I mean, people generally don't like that. especially when it involves two dead children. All right. So, a couple shout outs. Special shout out to Fat Ass Marv. You know, that man who looks like a woman, for striking my channel multiple times today to have videos of your drunk ass removed from the YouTubes. Good news, bad news. Bad news is I'm appealing every one of those removals that were fraudulently placed because your identity is not revealed in those videos. So that was all fraudulent for you to claim that your identity was revealed. Those all will be appealed and restored. And secondly, there are multiple other platforms uh, that your drunk ass can be posted on in memory of Abby and Libby, and that you will not strike down. So, no, it wasn't the diabetes. It was the liabetes called Yo Drunk Ass. So that will be dealt with accordingly, which will be forthcoming. Um, Secondly, I would like to ask all of you who are watching, if you're on the replay, please leave a comment down below. Tonight was our Wednesday members only. My intention is to provide our members with something special every Wednesday, which is a members only live chat, so they can enjoy the privileges of their members only uh, membership, in addition to some of the other material posted in the video section. Um, but please, you can leave a comment down below and hit the like, support the channel. I'd like to thank everyone who contributed tonight in the little super chats and the cash apps or whatever you contributed. Thank you so much for doing that, including M, David Rogers, that girl, L'Oreal, J.R. Nana Boomer, lawyer's daughter became a member, Tawana, Chevy Killer. Lead with Love gifted 10 of our members memberships. So it's a very special thank you. And blowing a kiss to Lead with Love for giving memberships to 10 of the viewers. Thank you so much for that. Nino Dino, It's a New Day, Momo Gritty, everyone who sent a little donation or gifted a membership. I appreciate you. And I know that our chat members appreciate you. And Chevy Killer, I wish I could figure out how to give you a membership because I would, brother. I surely would. And maybe I will. I need to do some more reading. I know there's a way to do it. Well, anything else? Extra shout out to Christine and Skip and Erica and shit, I don't know. Heather Brown, Kayla, Amy, Indy Cindy, Rick Snay, um, Julie Melvin, Laura Naran. Um, who was in here tonight? Let's see, Carla Ann, Digital, Sarah, Aarontown, David Rogers, Nancy Drew 101, Tammy Martin. Um, Special shout out to Mark Ellis for the big super chat yesterday. Judy Hathaway, Catastrophe. Oh, and all my buddies on Twitter who don't hate me, even though I shit post anything I feel like. Special thanks to you. Um, Rhonda, all the people who've been leaving comments in the comment section, appreciate that. Anyone who's ever watched and been at least decent to me, thank you so much for being decent, even in when times were rough. Appreciate you. We got Jake here. Jake, thank you for supporting in the ways that you have. Doesn't go unnoticed. Um, Special shout out to Charlie and to who else? My buddies who email me, and you know who you are. All my email corresponders who we regularly email back and forth. Appreciate the emails on an ongoing basis, especially Nobody Nothing, my bud. Thank you so much. Sherlock Romes, thank you for coming. Who else was here? Earlier we had, I don't know. It's got to go back far in time to see. Oh, Dieter was here. Tinkerbell. All right. So everyone who watched, and all you lurkers too, and hey, even you haters. Listen, if you're a hater, it's never too late to make amends. Apologize. Let's get along. I don't hate you that bad, unless the one or two of you I can't fucking stand, and I hope drop dead. But I'll just leave you alone if you leave me alone. So if you're that much hateful, I'll let you be hateful. But otherwise, haters, you're welcome to come talk to. As long as you apologize, tell the truth. You're welcome back to the Props crew. So that be that. And I don't know where Oshibby is tonight. Long time listener. He's not molesting all of my chat members tonight. So I'd like to thank him and also let him know we miss him. And with that being said, I think that's everything I had to say tonight. Jeez. So special shout out to Andy, Brad, and Stacy. And I'm sorry, Stacy. I'm thinking of another Stacy. Miss Jennifer Auger. I'd like to shout out to you too. I'd love to speak with you someday. You sure are a smart lady, and I appreciate that. Um, I was in the Playa Haters Club tonight. Ooh, yeah, the Chomos, Playa Haters, weirdos, Troll Farm. They do what they do, you know. Anyway, Carla Ann is saying, hit that damn like. Yeah, please do hit the like. Hey, if you're extra special, hit the cash app. Send me some love. L'Oreal, good night. Good night, L'Oreal. They sounded drunk. Well, they are always drunk. It's listen. Come on now. Lisa, what's up, Sunflower Soul? Where you been hiding? You been lurking? And where's Big JD? Big JD usually is a lurking. Um, anyway, isn't it odd not having Shibby? I know that's what I'm saying. Uh, it's a little odd not being uncomfortable. All right, y'all. So that was nice. Really nice little show tonight. I didn't enjoy the content, but I enjoyed the chat, looking at the chat, and I'm glad that we got that behind us because I needed to cover it, but didn't really want to. But I think we got it out of the way. Okay. Some do so many mind altering substances that little mind remains. Hey, it's Delphi. It's Delphi. It's listen, a case that's rife with meth heads is going to produce meth heads and hysteria. And yeah, well, you know my theory. My theory, and it always has been, it literally always has been. This crime revolves around methamphetamine. If you don't agree with that, I'm sorry for you. But I am sure of it. And I hope to one day be proven that it's proven true because I'm sure of it. Anyway, appreciate you all for being here. Thank you, Plain Iron, Jalen, Miss K, Heather Brown, Lisa, Amy, Aaron, Tinkerbell, Rebecca, Everyone who is here and has been, thank you so much. Again, if you're on the replay, just do me a favor, hit the like. Hit the like on the way out for all of you long timers. Appreciate it. Should catch you tomorrow. If I can drum up the material that I want to produce for you tomorrow, I hope to see you then. Anyway, hey, Aaron, why are you up so late or so early? It should be like 5 a.m. your time or something. Come on, get some sleep. Thank you, Miss K. Indy Cindy says, you know, the drunks are the only ones that think they're coherent, but they drunk AF. They ain't fooling nobody but themselves. Yeah, where's Five Green Acres? Did did I boot them out by having members only? Maybe he's not. Maybe Five Green Acres is not a member, but I hope so. It's not to exclude anyone. It's just to thank all of you who are members for being members. So appreciate the memberships. So that's all that is. And Chevy Killer, oh look, you're back. Chevy Killer's back with another super chat. I know you would, Prof. Heather, I keep the shower warm. What the fuck? Chevy Killer's trying to swerve. Chevy is tied up with a ball gag right now. Chevy needs to be a member. Let's see if I can see. I just don't think I can click on him and give him a membership, which is sad. Why can't I just click and say give membership? Let me try it one more time before we leave here. Can I click on a motherfucker and give him a membership? No, I can report him. I can put him in time out. I can hide him on the channel or add as a moderator. I'll add you as a moderator. Listen, Chevy, don't ever delete anybody. Now you're a moderator. A moderator. Moderator. Sorry. Moderator. Let's see. Geez, what did I just do? Add as moderator. There you go. What up, Chevy Killer? Don't delete nobody, Chevy. Boom. He's got the wrench now. You can smack him with the wrench, but don't delete him. What's up, Mark Ellis? Thank you, Mark. Mark Ellis in the house. Indy says, I've looked at gifting specific people. I couldn't do it either. I don't understand, but I know this much, Chevy. I know this from Amy. Amy taught me that you have to enable gifting in your settings in order to receive gifts. So that's one step, Chevy Killer. Go in your settings and hit allow gifting. Ain't I right? Ain't I right? You have to allow gifting on YouTube as a user. Oh, she says you can't gift a specific member. Is that the problem? But I know, can't I do? Because doesn't Gray Hughes complain and whine like a baby all the time that I need to get to $150 so I can give away 5 memberships or something like that? So if Gray can do it, I can do it. I just have to figure out how to do it. All right. So I'll work on Chevy. But for now, he's got the wrench to smack them trolls in the ass. But like I said, we're being nice to trolls because we're asking them to come and make amends and be nice. So we're not smacking trolls upside the head unless they're really naughty, because we're trying to let those trolls come and apologize and be nice to us. Chevy, as much as you've spent, you can buy a year of memberships for $20. Yeah, is it 99 cents a month or $1.99? Something like that. If you're a mod, you can go. What's up, Crystal? All right, Crystal. What's up, Christina? All right, Laura. What's up, Laura? Where is Rick Snays, Laura? Can she please come on? Her boss was mean to her, said you can't get on YouTube. You can't do YouTube. You can't do YouTube because you work for the court. I'd like Miss Laura to be joining our chats. That would be sweet, wouldn't it be? Anyway, shout out, shout out Mark Ellis, shout out Chevy Killer, Amy, Kayla, Heather Brown, all of y'all. It's been a good one. It's been a good one. And now we're done with McLeland's unhinged rant, so we can move on tomorrow to better subject matter. Um, welcome to the Thunderdome. But you know what's funny though? Because I have lacked in covering it again. Those fires are still happening in California and the numbers. So here's something. Now, I know some of you didn't watch that show and don't care about when I cover anything else other than Delphi, but let me say something. They're saying 15,000 structures plus are destroyed in the fires, which are still burning. They're saying they've only identified 27 bodies. But let me say to you all, you can put a 0 or 2 behind that. Okay. This is going to be another Katrina, another 9/11 when the body count actually comes out. And remember, a lot of those bodies have been completely incinerated. They'll never be found. They'll just go to missing persons. But I guarantee you, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a very high body count. When you have 15,000 structures, you know that there's a percentage of elderly, of infirm, of immobile. There's going to be loss of life associated beyond 27 individuals with these fires. So please keep them in your prayers. Okay. Please do so because I know a lot of you were around and adults when 9/11 happened, and you remember that. And a lot of you were alive and adults when Katrina killed so many. And I've told you my own experience where I lost so many friends and family and neighbors. So I'm telling you, in these fires in LA, there's going to be a large amount of loss of life beyond the loss of material, and that's just heartbreaking. And be prepared for it because it's just so sad how caught up we are in this day and age in the news of the day. That news from even a week ago or 2 weeks ago, like when it comes to the savage attack in New Orleans where 15 plus were mowed over with a truck. We so quickly move on that we quickly forget about what has just happened. And it's only weeks ago that that happened in New Orleans, only days ago that it's happened in LA. And and just try not to forget that there are going to be people you don't know who are affected, who need someone to talk to, who need help, etc. And it's not our obligation to help everyone, but if you come across someone, be sensitive to that. Okay? Yes, it makes me sad. That's what I'm getting at. So, well, yeah, you can see Sarah's coming in with a great. Thank you for reminding me of that because you see you see what I'm saying? We so quickly forget because the news cycle is so rapid, it never stops. This news cycle is literally constant, so we easily forget. But this North Carolina, okay, I don't know how much you've watched from boots on the ground there. You would be astonished, okay, at the devastation in North Carolina. And it's been one after the other, and it's an ongoing cycle, and there will be more. And so, be sensitive to that. That there's people in the midst of a struggle, and it's not all our responsibility, but touch who you can as you go, because it just seems that it's never ending, and I'm hoping it does start ending this type of trauma to our society, but we can be here, right? We can be here for each other. And that's why I'm so glad to have this. I spoke to someone today and I told her, when I came into this, I didn't intend to do it. I kind of don't want to continue to do it, but the benefit in it is really personal at this point because it's wonderful to get to talk to people. And by that I mean you in the live chat and in the comment sections. That's a wonderful addition in these bad times to our lives. So I've appreciated it. And for all the bad that's happened in this YouTube universe with the fucking trolls and all of this stuff, it's been outweighed by the good that's happened with all the wonderful people I've met and the wonderful emails I receive and the phone calls and the comment sections. So the wonderful connections have far outweighed the small handful of unhinged, insane, maniacal meth head troll farm. So with that being said, keep in mind that that's why we like it here, and that's why I've always liked my little live chat and that shit. So yeah, it is emotionally overwhelming. But that's what I'm saying. Okay, we got each other here, and that's a nice thing to have is some human interaction in the days of bad fucking news. You know, pardon the language. Have often have old German Baptist ladies email me and tell me to watch my language. Sorry, but really, the words it's not as bad as what I'm saying. Get the message. Don't worry about the words. So, anyway, God bless you. Um, Delphi, Prosecutor McLeland continues his Unhinged PR tour. Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. That was it. And I do appreciate you all for being here. And hopefully, there won't be much more of the PR tour if these dudes would just shut up. Okay, because we don't need to hear it. Here for the language. No, I thought you were here for the mocking of me reading murder shits transcripts and mocking their voices. But yeah, good night. Good night. All right. God bless you all. Dark hearts. Dark hearts. Oh, you dark hearts out there. Yeah. What's up, Chevy Killer? Yeah, we will help America. America needs help right now. I mean, shit. Have you looked at your cost versus income lately? I mean, we need to fix that, get that balanced right, and then we can make life a little more sustainable. I mean, somebody asked me on Facebook the other day, how much percentage are you spending on rent? And some people were answering. It was a general question in a group. Some people were saying 20%, 25%, and I was like, yeah, mine is inverted. Okay, mine is inverted. So, bro, I hate to tell you, my percentage is nowhere near 20% that I'm spending on rent. So it's all inverted. We need to right that ship and get things together. So that's my political statement for the evening. God bless you all. We love you. Prof, we love you. I love you, Heather Brown and Laura Naran. That's what I'm saying. We are each other's group therapy. What up, Mark Ellis? Good night. Mark, we need to do another phone call in. Phone call in. See what you're up to. Lisa, Amy, many missed tonight. 25% these days is you own the house and are talking about property taxes. Me and my uncle drove trailers into New York to help set up resource centers. Whoa. I was across the World Trade Center 5 a.m. September 11th. All right, y'all. I'm out. Good night, everyone. Again, there's other shit on the channel, older live streams and videos that I specifically made for you. So if you're new here, go check out some other stuff on the channel. You may appreciate it or not. And realize we have two channels. On both channels, we have the Prof and the Prof True Crime, which each have its own community page. So on the community pages, you will find different material. So you can also check out the community pages. Anyway, love you all. Dark Hearts, Dark Hearts. And Bobblehead Richard Allen's on Fantasy World Scenarios. And we'll go out like that, douche crew.